It's been a little while since the last update, but as always, if the blog and/or channel are sitting idle, that's because we've been busy working on projects or attending shows. For a while there were events, yes, plural, every weekend since the second half of our summers are traditionally busier. However, the work paid off with the S15 bringing home yet more awards, as well as myself personally, but we'll get to that. Let's first rewind and pick up where we left off. Not long after the last video went up, we had a weekend of back-to-back shows. Still Plays with Cars hosted first with another edition of The Gathering, and the S15 was picked as one of their top 10. When it last attended in 2023, it had also won, and with the rebuild taking place since then, they felt it deserved to win again, which was very much appreciated. The next day, we were then downtown for Rev Up, and the S15 was awarded as one of their best of show, which was amazing. I even had the opportunity to meet and briefly chat with Sam Dew himself, who was the guest this year. Overall, an incredible weekend, and the car got a lot more amazing feedback from friends and showgoers alike. At this point, it was time to address a small change to the engine bay that we'd been coordinating, and that was in regards to the fluid reservoirs. I've been extremely happy with these Chase base pieces, but as you can see here, the logos on the caps had never lined up. I actually reached out to the company to confirm, and indeed these are somewhat randomly oriented when printed, so simply buying new caps wouldn't guarantee a match. My original plans, when I sketched things out back in 2023, had called for the trim ring itself to be labeled as to the contents of the reservoirs, but with the caps needing to be redone anyway, I decided to have them directly labeled instead. In case you're wondering, what if the caps get mixed up? While I do have the same thread pitch, the caps for the coolant and washer fluid reservoirs are actually specific to each due to different internal construction, so they do need to be matched to the reservoir regardless. I doubt we'd ever have more than one cap off at a time, and as always, it's realistically going to be just myself or maybe Brian as well servicing the car, but I still worked to include a subtle notation of their positioning for future reference. The first step was to get something to cover up the logos. I had some aluminum circles laser cut as templates, which I then provided to Seb so he could make up some carbon fiber copies for me. Upon receipt of the raw carbon parts, I then prepped and clear coated them using satin clear to kill any shine. With that handled, I drew up and cut a few decals in the car's usual font to apply on top. I specifically condensed washer down to WSHR so I could underline the R alongside the L in cool to note their locations, right and left respectively as read from the front of the car. I still want to give a little more attention to the caps, but we had a photo shoot to handle with a deadline, and I really wanted these in place as the final touch for it. They were exactly what the bay needed to finish it off in time for this, and I couldn't be happier with the look. A small detail for sure, but it's these small details that matter and make all the difference. Following the shoot with Seb, which he knocked out of the park as always, having seen the final photos, it was back to more events as the summer continued. The Sylvia was displayed at both Speed and Customs as well as Tuner Spirit as the last indoor events of the season. The day after Tuner Spirit, we were back to Max Bell for another sorority row, and come day's end, I was personally awarded the annual Dean's List for being an outstanding member of the car community, easily the most meaningful award to date. A huge thank you goes to the girls from Redline for this honor. And last but not least, the following weekend, Matsuri hosted their latest event, and we met our goal of making it 3 years in a row of taking home a trophy from their show. The Sylvia had won JDM of the festival at their first year, Mustard took USDM of the festival at the second, and at this, their third year, the Sylvia took home Best Engine Bay. This now brings us more or less up to date with the events of the year as well as car updates. Research and planning for 2026 are in full swing, with sketches starting to fill up notebooks and parts being collected for the S15, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. The 2025 car season isn't over just yet, and as excited as I am to get back to work in the garage, I still want to enjoy the car for a little longer yet before parking it.